right, today is October 28th, 2014, and let's turn to the book of Genesis, chapter 40. Genesis chapter 40, and we're looking at Joseph. Genesis chapter 40, and Joseph is in prison because of a false accusation that he has raped his boss's wife, or he attempted to rape his boss's wife, and so that's the lie that she told. And so his boss Potiphar believes the wife, and so he throws Joseph into prison. All right. So now, while Joseph is in prison, Pharaoh's cupbearer and Pharaoh's chief baker are also put in the same prison. And so now, one night, the cupbearer and the baker have the same, or have a dream. And so the next morning, they're looking downcast, and Joseph interprets their dreams. All right? So now, in Genesis 40, starting in verse number 7, it says this, verse 6. Let's start in verse 5. It says, "Then the cupbearer and the baker for the king of Egypt, who were confined in jail, both had a dream the same night, each man with his own dream." I'll turn this one. Each man with his own dream. Each man with his own dream, with his own interpretation. When Joseph came to them in the morning and observed them, behold, they were dejected. And he asked Pharaoh's officials who were with him in confinement in his master's house, "Why are your faces so sad today?" Then they said to him, "We have had a dream, and there is no one to interpret it." Then Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell it to me, please." Now, just real quick, notice here with Joseph that they tell Joseph their dreams, and Joseph is thrown in prison under an unfair reason. He is doing what is right, but he ends up in prison. So now when these two have their dreams, all right, and they tell Joseph their dreams, notice the words in verse 8 out of Joseph's mouth. "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell it to me, please." Okay? You see, where is Joseph's heart? Even though Joseph is in an unfair situation, where is his heart? His heart is with God. All right? Because once again, he says, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me, please." So his heart is with God, and he knows that God is going to give him the interpretation. But once again, his heart is with God. Notice here with Joseph, God gave Joseph a gift to understand dreams. All right? And so notice here with Joseph, what is he doing? He is serving where he is at. He is using his gift where God has placed him. Where has God placed Joseph? In an unfair situation where now he is in prison. Okay? So now imagine this. If Joseph was discouraged, well, I'm thrown in prison. I'm doing what's right. and now I am in prison. I'm known as a rapist, and this is just not right. So right now I am discouraged about my situation. Do you think he would have said, tell me your dreams, please, because interpretations belong to God? He would not have said that because his mind would not have been on God and the gift that God had given him and on him being a servant. It would have been all about Joseph, all about me. This is what I'm going through. So right now I am discouraged. So right now I'm not focused on God. And right now I'm not focused on my gift. So right now I'm not focused on telling you the understanding of your dreams. All right? All about Joseph. But see, that wasn't his mindset. Okay, his mindset, even though he is thrown in prison and it is under a lie, I am still God's man. I am still God's servant. I'm still going to serve my fellow man, and I'm going to use the gift that God has given me to serve God and my fellow man. Because now, when Joseph says, do not interpretations belong to God, and Joseph gives these men the interpretation of their dreams, where does the glory go to? Does it go to Joseph or does it go to God? It goes to God. All right? And so Joseph is serving where he is at. And so here it is with us. We are to serve where we are at, for the glory of God. Okay? All right? Joseph's mindset is not, how much you going to pay me? And then I will tell you your dream. Okay? All right? Joseph, tell me something good about me, and I will tell you what your dream means. Okay? Okay? All right? It is, I'm going to serve where I am at. And see, God's plan, God knows what he is doing. And so we have heard the phrase that when it comes to progressing in life, whether it's business, whether it's a career, whatever it may be, it is not what you know, but it is who you know. Okay? All right? Now, what you know is important. Let's not discount that. Okay? We need knowledge. We need education, whatever. Okay? That's important. Okay? But see, what has God done? God has thrown Joseph into prison, and then here comes Pharaoh's servants. Okay? Now, who do these two men know? They know Pharaoh. Okay? All right? You see what God is setting up? Okay? They know Pharaoh. Okay? And ultimately, God's plan will prevail where Joseph is exalted. All right? But see, Joseph is just serving where he is at. He's not thinking, oh, you know what? If I serve you, you know Pharaoh. Okay? He's just thinking, you know what? Tell me your dreams. That's all he's thinking. Tell me your dreams. Okay? All right? And so when they tell Joseph their dreams, the cupbearer tells Joseph his dream. Okay? And the baker does too. But for the cupbearer, in essence, Joseph interprets his dream. And the cupbearer is going to be restored to his position with Pharaoh. All right? Then Joseph has his own plan. All right? So now, it says in verse 12, then Joseph said to him, this is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 more days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your office, and you will put Pharaoh's cup into his hand according to your former custom when you were his cupbearer. Okay? Now here's Joseph's plan. Only keep me in mind when it goes well with you, and please do me a kindness by mentioning me to Pharaoh and get me out of this house or this prison. For I was in fact kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I have done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. Okay? All right? So Joseph has a plan. And his plan is, get me out of this prison, man. You're going to be restored. So do me this favor. You talk to Pharaoh and tell Pharaoh I'm innocent and get me out of this prison. Okay? Now, in all of Pharaoh's business, does he really know who Joseph really is? No. Okay, no. Okay? But Joseph's focus is, get me out of this. All I want, man, is out of this prison. That's all I want. That's Joseph's plan. Okay? But God's plan is different. Okay? But now, let's go with Joseph's plan. Okay? All right? The cupbearer goes to Pharaoh. All right? And then Pharaoh lets him, okay, I'm going to do you this favor, my cupbearer, and I'm going to let this man out of this prison. All right, okay. Now, right now, what is Joseph's reputation throughout Egypt? Why is he in prison? He's accused of being a rapist. Okay? Who wants to hire a rapist in their employment? All right? And you are known for so-called raping an official's wife, which means just by the nature of things, you're going to be blackballed. Because everybody's going to know, okay, Potiphar's going to know, okay, you hired who? You hired Joseph. Oh, no. You can't hire him. Okay? And what do you think the people in Egypt are going to do? Say, no, you know what? I'm going to hire him anyway. Okay? Potiphar is a high official in the government. And the word's going to spread. Calls going to be made. Don't you hire this man. He tried to rape my wife. So you know what? This is the word on the street. Don't hire Joseph. What's he going to do? He's in Egypt. I can't get a job. I can't make money. Now I got to be a beggar. All right? Or he may leave Egypt, go back to his homeland. All right? But in 9 years, God's going to send a famine throughout the world, and he has to come back to Egypt to get food. And once again, that's the man who tried to rape my wife. The word is spread. Okay? You see how Joseph's plan is going to limit it's going to limit his life. Okay? All right? But God's plan, let's read. So now verse 21, it says, and he restored the chief cupbearer to his office, and he put the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, just as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. Okay? Now, who is the one who really made the cupbearer forget Joseph? It was God. Okay? God made the cupbearer forget about Joseph. Okay? And so now, real quick, when it comes to Joseph's plan, get me out of this prison, okay? All right? Let's say he gets a job. Make a minimum wage. All right? Is that what God really wants? Or he's a beggar on the street. Okay? That's far below God's plan. Okay? So once again, what we may want, in the sense of, I want what I want right now. In other words, get me out of my situation. Get me out of my prison. God, change my situation. We are really shortchanging our blessings. Okay? Let God do what He is going to do. Okay. Chapter 41 says this. Now it happened at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream. And behold, he was standing by the Nile. I won't read the whole dream situation. Okay? But notice here, Pharaoh has a dream. Okay? And who gave Pharaoh that dream? God gave Pharaoh that dream. Okay? And see, what is God doing? God is putting Pharaoh in a position of need. Okay? Where now Pharaoh is going to need the gift that God has given to Joseph. All right? And see, notice here the blessing of Joseph, the blessing for Joseph. Joseph, when he was in prison, he just served and used his gift where he was at. No ulterior motive. Okay? He's just serving where he is at. And see, notice, because he served where he was at, that blessing came around to bless him 2 years later. Okay? Because the cupbearer, when Joseph told the cupbearer his dream, and now Pharaoh has a dream, oh, you know what, Pharaoh? I remember. There was a young man in prison. I had a dream, and he was able to interpret my dream for me. Oh, and so Pharaoh hears about this, and he says, go get that boy. Go get him and bring him here to me. All right? But imagine once again, if this was Joseph's mindset. I'm discouraged in this prison once again, and I just don't know what's going on. And he did not serve, and he did not use his gift. 2 years later, the cupbearer would not be thinking about Joseph. And so this is why it's so important that you just serve where you are at and just use the gift that God has given you. Okay? Don't focus on, well, right now, no money's coming in. Just serve. Don't focus on, well, I'm doing it, but no one is paying attention to me. Everybody else is progressing, but I'm using my gift, but I'm still in the same spot. Don't focus. Just serve where you are at, because in this analogy, 2 years later, because you just served where you were at, it's going to come around to bless you. Okay? All right? So, what happens? Okay? They get Joseph out of prison. Okay? So now, in verse 25, it says, now Joseph said to Pharaoh, Pharaoh's dreams are one and the same. God has told Pharaoh what he is about to do. Okay? And so Joseph interprets the dream. Okay? And he says to Pharaoh, there's going to be 7 years of plenty of food, and then after that, 7 years of famine. All right? And see, when Joseph tells Pharaoh his dream, Joseph says this in verse 33. And now, let Pharaoh look for a man discerning and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Now, when Joseph says this, Joseph is not thinking about himself. Okay, verse 34. Let Pharaoh take action to appoint overseers in charge of the land, and let him exact a fifth of the produce of the land of Egypt in the 7 years of abundance. Then let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming, and store up the grain for food in the cities under Pharaoh's authority, and let them guard it. And let the food become as a reservoir or reserve for the land for the 7 years of famine, which will occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land may not perish during the famine. Now the proposal seemed to Pharaoh and to all his servants a good idea. Now notice here with Joseph. Joseph, in talking to Pharaoh, does not bring up his situation. I was thrown in prison. I did not rape that woman. I'm totally innocent. He doesn't bring up the fact that he is in prison to Pharaoh at all. And see, you know what that shows? That shows that Joseph became content with his situation. Because now he has a chance to bring it up. Pharaoh, I'm going to tell you this dream, but Pharaoh, could you do me a favor? It's not there. Okay? And see, with all of us, God wants us to be content in where he has placed us in life. Be content. Not that we're not going to pray, God, I want things to change. We can still pray those prayers, but it's coming from a content situation because God has placed in us something more. Okay, so we're praying according to what God has put in us. Okay, for me to be in prison for the rest of my life, this is not it. Okay, so I'm praying according to your desires, God. But at the same time, I'm not going to complain about it, not going to try to change it. We are content where you have us in life, and we are going to serve. So now, Joseph doesn't bring it up. Okay? Joseph is not self-serving. All right? And so now, verse 38. Then Pharaoh said to his servants, can we find a man like this in whom is a divine spirit? So Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has informed you of all this, there is no one so discerning and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and according to your command, all my people shall do homage. Only in the throne will I be greater than you. Okay. Okay. But see, notice here with Joseph. When he was in prison, he used this gift. Now before Pharaoh, he's using his God-given gift. And see, one day, God's going to have it where whatever God put in you, he's going to have you use your gift before someone who's going to need it, and then exaltation is going to come. We don't know who the person or people or group is, but just continue to serve and be content where you are at, where we are at in life, and the gift and the purpose that God has put in you. He's going to have people come and they're going to recognize in you is a divine spirit in essence. And you know what? You know what? We need what you have. So we are going to appoint you. We are going to exalt you. We want to use you. Because now in this, in Pharaoh using Joseph, what is that going to do for Pharaoh in Egypt? It's going to help keep them alive. So whatever gift and purpose God has put in you, okay, it's for the salvation, and it's going to meet the needs of other people. And that's how God does it. It is not, I set my mind to it, and I reach my goals. Forget all of that. That's foolishness. Okay? That's ridiculous. Okay? No. God has dreams. God has goals. Okay? And we as His servants, we are to, once again, to just serve where we are at. Okay? All right? Because when we serve where we are at, the word is going to spread of who we are. God's going to make sure that the word spreads who we are. He's going to do it. Okay? We just relax and just serve where we are at. And then at his time, 2 years later, okay, Joseph is now vice president in Egypt. But see, notice here what Joseph's plan. Just get me out of this prison. He didn't see vice president. Just get me out of this prison. Now, how much money do you think Joseph is making? How much power do you think Joseph has now? You see, if Pharaoh would have let him out of prison based on Joseph's plan, okay, you're known as a rapist, so you're blackballed. Or if you get a job, it's a lowly one, okay? And you have no power, you have no influence, but now God's plan is always greater, okay? And let's just trust God. Let's just do what God has commanded us to do. And once again, in this analogy, okay, when you serve just where you are at, your gift is going to come around to bless you down the line. All right? So don't focus on the exterior. Just focus on, I am a servant of God, and I'm going to serve where you have placed me, Father. Okay? It's going to work out. It's going to work out.